Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Taylor Rust, the founder and CEO of Trust Business Consulting. Taylor brings an impressive 15 years of healthcare strategy experience, having managed projects in nearly 20 countries, and now leads a firm that's revolutionizing how healthcare organizations tackle complex initiatives like hospital openings and mergers. She's here to share how she's built Trust Business Consulting into a powerhouse for healthcare project execution. We'll be exploring her founding story, how her business empowers clients in the healthcare industry, and her vision for scaling this mission-driven venture. So let's dive right in. Taylor, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Absolutely happy to have you on. So I would love to start at the very top for our listeners here, Taylor. Take us back to the beginning. What specific problem in the healthcare consulting landscape really inspired you to start Trust Business Consulting?
I really like this question because became an entrepreneur by accident.
Okay.
So I had no plans of starting a business. I think I always knew deep down back even 20, 30 years ago that someday I wanted to own my own business and own my own company, but I never knew what it would look like. So I actually had a former client of mine reach out, and he had left the client that I had worked with him before under the management consulting firm that I used to work for. He had called me up and said he was with this new organization and it was asking me if I was still opening hospitals. So I actually created my brand, so to
Mm.
speak, at the firm I used to work for. And I was just passed around the country by executive referrals, would constantly bring in the business for the firm that I was working for. And then after some change in strategy from the organization that I used to work for, they were no longer working on projects like this. They were just after larger, probably 10, $20 million deals. And I took a leap of faith and decided that I was going to do this on my own. So I had just approached it from a solopreneur perspective initially, and then made the commitment to grow a business just last year.
Incredible, incredible. It's such a process to get to where you are now, but clear as day that this was the decision that you were waiting to make your whole life. So definitely so happy that you did, and now you're on the show. So super grateful to have you on walking us through your process there. So talk to us a bit now, Taylor, of how Trust's offer has evolved since you started it. So from what you're providing to who you're serving, how's that changed since the beginning?
Yeah, of course, at the beginning, I was just more of a consultant,
Yeah.
right? And then from shifting that mindset from being a consultant in the industry where people know me, recognize me, know the work that I do, shifting it to a business has been quite the process. So, first, it was assessing why I was industry leader in this niche of opening hospitals. You think of management consultants, you think of nine box strategy and the McKinseys, the Bains, the KPMGs, the BCGs, and how did I get in this niche of opening hospitals? It's so specific, right? And I just started looking at that and like looking at my work history. I used to do some work in logistics, so obviously opening a hospital is very logistics oriented. So I just started building an offer around my expertise and like why I was being passed around to different hospitals through word of mouth. And I did a competitive analysis. I looked at what the competitors were doing. I did research around it and also learning like how this existing client of mine came to be. Yes, it was through a referral, but I also went through an RFP process as well. So understanding the competitors, who was bidding on that, what is their business model, and then how do I differentiate myself in the market? And truly, our offer is just I've created it. It doesn't exist. And I had to go through that process to learn and be a creator of this and an innovator.
Just incredible, just the amount of work that you've put in to get to this point and the research that you have to do and understanding that, especially for our listeners who aren't very keen on this space and can end up being clients of yours. Walk us through what that offer does look like now. If you get a client that comes to you first things first and wants to work with you, what can they expect? How is that structured for your clients?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a go-to-market strategy for us. Like we are getting in and growing our business through the transition and occupancy planning offer for new hospital openings. So that in itself is a very transactional service. So it's you have a need, you need to open this hospital, you need equipment planning, procurement management, you need the tactical execution points. And then once we get in the door, they see how we work. We are strategists. We are leaders. We are working hand in hand with the leadership teams. We're helping make decisions. We're helping assess risks. So much more into that strategy. And then they see, oh, like these are like strategic consultants as well. And then that's when the door opens up to our other offers. So you think of the mergers and acquisitions work, the service line optimization, service line expansion work that we do, and then the other areas of strategy that we play in. So a lot of our clients know us for the tactical transactional need in that occupancy and transition plate space. And then once they work with us, it just opens up to all the other areas of ways that we can help them.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So just so many different things that you're doing in that, but very niche still with the main focus of the ultimately consulting these hospitals that are opening up. So just amazing what you're doing there. I know that you mentioned a little bit earlier that you were seeing a lot of success, Taylor, on the referral side of things. So what else is working really well for new clients that come in? Because obviously we all know that referrals aren't very predictable. So how are you tackling that challenge a bit there?
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting conversation, like in the sales space, right? And I think that my viewpoints on that are slightly non-traditional. A lot of people say sales is a numbers game, go after the cold outreach data. And versus my industry and my business is very much that referral relationship based. And it's all about how you nurture the existing relationships that you have, because that's going to carry you forward. You do a great job on your existing clients, like that's going to lead to other opportunities. And then you can do the passive marketing so that if someone's browsing for that transactional service that I mentioned, like the occupancy and transition planning or the activation planning services, then we'll come up on your Google search and you can find everything content wise on our website, on our LinkedIn page. Really nurturing the existing relationships that you have, because the life cycle of an executive at a healthcare system is pretty small. Like you plan to be an executive for probably maybe 2 to 3 years at a hospital system, and then you're moving on to the next hospital system that you're going to grow, that you're going to optimize and make your stamp on it. And that's really what's carried me thus far. And of course, as we're looking to grow, now we're investing in marketing. Now we're investing in a repository for people that are passively browsing for the service that can find our offers available.
So now you're really getting into the scale kind of mindset, not
Mhm.
really seeing the referrals come in, what you're doing, the quality you're providing is working wonders for you. So now it's the scale mindset. So putting that marketing and you're doing ads, social media, organic outreach. So phenomenal in that part. So walk us through what it looks like for you, Taylor, as far as the sales process. Is this something that you're running the show on your own on that side? Do you have a sales team, marketing team now? What does that look like from the outside looking in?
So I am still running point on sales, and it's based off of my personal relationships, right? I've been in consulting for a very long time, in healthcare consulting specifically for a very long time, and I've got a lot of relationships and a lot of organizations that just need help. Like they cannot solve these sticky problems, and they know that if they put me in their business, that I'm going to solve it. And right now, it's a matter of nurturing those relationships that I've had for so long and waiting for those opportunities to come to me so that I can help them. You mentioned the growth and the scaling that we're looking to do. Obviously, I can't be in 100 places at once. That's part of the growing pains of trying to grow an organization, is like working with my existing workforce to make sure that they have all of my industry knowledge now, and the personal brand that I've built and the processes that I've built. Now I have to make sure my teams can operate in that same capacity, and systematizing things and getting templates together and getting my data dump of my end-to-end playbook and educating and growing my teams. And then I do outsource marketing. I've got a wonderful marketing content creator and social media strategist that manages LinkedIn, manages our Instagram, and manages our website as well.
Incredible. Really starting to click on all cylinders with the mindset of scaling and growing the company. So just doing amazing things there. So talk to us right now then, Taylor, of where your mind is as far as a bottleneck would go, whether that be quality lead generation, converting those leads into clients, delivering projects with your current capacity on the fulfillment side. As you said, wearing a lot of hats as the owner and founder, what would you point to as the biggest bottleneck for you right now?
The biggest bottleneck is my time. As you can imagine, our clients are all over the country. I'm always on the road. I'm always traveling, and I'm also delivering full time on client engagements. So really growing a business is like my one, I'm trying to outsource it as much as possible. I do have a business advisor. He's the chief strategist, but also our CFO. So I outsource the finances, outsource marketing so that I can really still be fully engaged and present with my clients because as I mentioned before, that relationship build is everything like that. And that's so important to me to maintain quality of our delivery as well and client fulfillment. So I'm still full-time engaged in these very complex strategic projects that is not my number one priority. And then full-time engaged and the next clients that come on board are going to be with my team. So that way we're working to grow the team and we can do some more knowledge transfer and I can be more of a oversight with those new clients, 5 hours, 10 hours a week. And that way I can still be very hands-on with the client and make sure that my processes, my frameworks, my playbooks are being followed the way that I expect to fulfill them. But that way I'm growing people and helping them learn the trust business consulting way of doing things as well.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love that. With that in mind and the way that your mind is working right now, especially with how dedicated you are to providing that quality, you're all over the place with traveling and being there for your clients. Talk to us about your top priorities here for the rest of the year, Taylor. What are you really locked in on? We know that you want to scale the company, but are there any specific revenue targets, impact goals, really what you're locked in on to continue and reach that scale that you're looking for?
Yeah, of course, we've got the KPIs. I think any smart business owner is going to be focused on like revenue. We've got what we're calling like a 3-3-3 strategy where we want to achieve 3 million revenue, 3 clients, and 3 client leads by the end of the year. And client leads are going to be those account managers that are executing to top quality at the client site. For me, right now, it's top priority is going to be bringing in good talent and talent that I know I can keep around with the pipeline that we have. So it's a little bit of good talent and a little bit of client acquisition still. So those are the top priorities. Of course, really priority number one is excelling and exceeding expectations at our current client and making sure that we're delivering top quality and continuing to just exceed expectations for them. And then client in parallel, we're moving with the client acquisition and talent acquisition as well.
So a couple things stood out to me there that you mentioned. So obviously 3 clients in the year. How long is a typical life cycle for you working with a client? What does that look like overall?
Yeah, so a typical engagement is a minimum of 1 year, just because these are highly strategic, highly complex projects that we're managing for a new site activation that we're working on. It could be anywhere from really a good sweet spot is around 14 to 16 months. That way we're in on the planning side of things and can help steer that as well. The last engagement that we're wrapping up in June has been a service line expansion. So we expanded an existing service line for the healthcare system, and that was a 1 year project. And now we're moving into an optimization project where we're optimizing and looking for cost savings, process improvement, etc. We're optimizing an existing service line that's about a year-long project as well.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's get a little hypothetical then, Taylor. I would love to hear your take on this just because of how incredible the way that you're really portraying your vision here for trust. Let's bring a genie into the room, snap our fingers, and provide you with unlimited resources right now at your fingertips. What are you implementing immediately into trust business consulting for its scale and growth?
I think any business owner would say business funding.
Yeah.
I'm working on getting some funding right now to help accelerate growth because obviously with the project life cycles and acquiring new clients, you could have gaps in projects, making sure that the star players we want to keep on board, we can float their bench time. So to be able to have business funding that has that little security blanket, if we do have gaps of project work, that we can still keep them on payroll. And then also, Jeannie, please grant me this wish of finding talent that can be contract based too, because also in the consulting world, you have a beautiful blend of the client leads that I was alluding to, that part of my 3-3-3 strategy. Those are going to be people that are growing the business with me and growing the accounts with me, but also equally important, the consultants that are doing the work that is going to be contract based too. So every consulting firm has a blend of your full-time resources and then your project-based employees. So a beautiful blend of that, and the contract-based employees that are equally as committed to excellence and growing the business. It's just finding and striking that right balance.
Absolutely. As far as your vision now, Taylor, for the future of the healthcare consulting industry as a whole, it's very complex, very niche as we've gone through this conversation together. How do you see that evolution in the coming years for the industry as a whole? And what are you really focused on to position trust at the forefront of that evolution that you're picturing?
Yeah, I mentioned back when I was doing a lot of market research and competitive research that like our offer that we have just
Yeah.
doesn't exist in the marketplace. Like we're fulfilling the transactional parts of opening a hospital, but also much more of that strategic leadership component, that projects like this, it's critical that you have the change management, the leadership, the strategy with executing that. And I think that gets lost in the project plans, the checklists, the tactical execution. And that's honestly like why a lot of these projects fail, or they're delayed, or it's because they don't have that leadership and change management component of it. So I want to be the leader, the industry leader in making it known that projects of this scale, this is a non-negotiable for you. You have to have these services. And if your transition and occupancy planning firm are not having conversations about how they align leadership, how they do their risk mitigation and their decision-making processes, if they're not talking about that with you, out the door they go. You don't want them on your team. So one, being an industry leader, but also something much greater than that as the foundation that I do have a very strong passion to start with the company. And I don't know what that looks like just yet, but I do know that the foundation work that we do is going to be a very big part of our culture and how we're giving back to health systems and health care for individuals, whether that's building hospitals in third world countries or improving and optimizing our existing healthcare and access to healthcare that we have today. So that is going to be a big part of what we do moving forward with the big 5-year planning. I would like to start that sooner rather than later than 5 years, but I'm starting to think about that now, is like, how can we give back on a greater scale outside of just providing professional services?
Absolutely. So, with that being said, I do want to take us into a bit of a lightning round here just to wrap us up, Taylor. It's been absolutely incredible having you on the show, walking us through. I know for me, I'm not very privy on the space, so really just so cool to see and hear your thought process, how you walk through things, how you were able to create an offer for your clients that is just so different from the rest. I truly appreciate having you on the show, Taylor, walking us through how you're doing all of this. And with that, I want to start the lightning round by asking just about a tool or a resource that you're using right now. Maybe it's a change management strategy from your certifications, a project execution technique, an AI tool, but what has been a game changer for trust in this far?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm gonna go with ChatGPT.
Yeah. AI is a factor. It's
Mhm.
something that with all of the guests I have on the show, if AI is not brought up, I'm concerned because in this day and age with the advancements and how innovative things are, you have to include it in your business and just makes things so much more efficient. I love it. I love that. And then just final question for you, and this one's for our listeners, Taylor, and I'm very excited to hear this from your end with just how intelligent and just passionate you are about what you're doing. What kind of advice can you offer to our listeners right now, other founders, entrepreneurs, business owners who are either just starting out or are in the middle of their journey like you are? What can you offer them before we wrap up?
I would say it's equally as important to develop the person behind the business as you grow the business because you're going to be faced with challenges, you're going to be faced with obstacles. Things are not going to go according to plan. You're not going to get things done as quickly. It's funny from especially going from the corporate world to being an entrepreneur, the corporate world is so fast paced. And when you become an entrepreneur, it's painfully slow. So use that time to develop the person that you are so that you can make better decisions, that you can steer teams, you can become the leader that you want to be. It's equally as important to growing the business.
Absolutely incredible there. With that, right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Taylor, I just want to thank you again. A remarkable journey and coming on the show, sharing your insights. Truly a pleasure to get an inside look at what's going on with trust and in the space, and clear as day that you're going to continue to do incredible things and reach that scale and success that you're aiming for. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.